Welcome or welcome back to 4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? I don't know, but I do know I've got a fan already. It's so hot in my kitchen. Today's video, or one of today's videos, because I've actually filmed 3 so far today. I'm really on a roll. Don't know what's going on with me. I think I maybe had one too many coffees this morning. Today's video is actually a viewer request for a cranberry and gold eye look, which I have done. And I did it using this palette. Now this, when I bought it, was still I Heart Makeup. It's now I Heart Revolution, and it's the chocolate rose gold palette. And I used the matching new, this is I Heart Revolution, rose gold glow highlighter. So, if you want to see how I achieved this look, you are in exactly the right place. Don't go anywhere. Here comes the tutorial. Hey, welcome back from the intro. As you can see, I've got my foundation on. I've got the Lancome Tie Doll, and I used my Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer today. I am now going to set my face with some Coty Air Spun, so let's zoom you in a little bit. This is the Air Spun Extra Translucent Extra Coverage. It's not that easy to get over here. You can get it from Amazon. But a friend of mine had been to America. She bought a tub of it over there because it's so easy to get there. Came home and then in the end didn't like it. I think she's got dry skin though, and that's why she couldn't get on with it. So she sold it to me, which I was super happy about because I've been wanting to try this for ages. Because Coty, you know, it's such a reputable brand and it's been going for so long, and you know, so many beauty gurus in America rave about how good this is. You do get a crap ton of product for your money as well. You get, I mean, the normal sort of size setting powder is sort of like 35 grams ish. You get 65 grams in this. It does have quite a floral smell, which, if you don't like scents, you're not going to like. But it only really smells while you're putting it on. Once it's on, you don't really notice it. I'm using a smaller fluffy brush to do my eyes, to set the crease around my nose here and my smile lines. And then I'm going to go in with my Real Techniques Travel Kabuki. This is great because you can, the reason I prefer this is because you can have the bristles as loose or as tight as you want when you're actually applying the powder. Now the only thing I will say with this Coty Air Spun is it flies every bloody where. I did a video the other day and I'd got a green top on, and honestly all you could see at the top was like Coty powder, so bear that in mind when you're using this. Hopefully today with a cream coloured top it shouldn't show up too much. Right, so I've packed it onto my kabuki, and now what I'm going to do, because my nose is one of the worst places for me in terms of foundation breaking down, I'm just pushing the powder onto my nose to try and give it as good a chance as possible of not breaking down and being properly set. And then any excess that's on the brush I just sweep across my eyelids, and then I get my big fluffy brush, and use it to set the rest of my face. Now this Lancome foundation does actually dry down to a powder-like finish, so you can actually get away, if you've got normal to dry skin, you can actually get away with not needing to powder yours. But with me having oily combo skin, if I don't powder my foundations, no matter how well they dry down initially, I end up with no foundation by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, plus all the other foundation reviews that I've done, I set my foundation, so it wouldn't be fair if I then didn't set this one. It wouldn't be a fair comparison. Now, what I do when I'm setting my face, in case part of the foundation hasn't set down, I make sure the brush is covered and then tapped off well. And then I stipple initially so that it's absolutely stamped down on my face, and then pick up a wee patch more and then just swipe, just to make sure everything is nicely set down. Now, the only thing with Coty is that the lid isn't a screw on, and it's very, very. Just put one of my hairs in my Coty. There we go. You can see, look how full this is, and I've used this for probably about 3 weeks now. You can see this just slides on and off. So because I'm a klutz, I keep an elastic band around mine. I suggest you do the same, and I intend to take some of that with me when I go down for my brother's wedding later on this year, but I'm going to be putting it into a screw top jar because I don't trust that that's not going to end up everywhere. Right, I'm feeling a little bit at the moment, so I am actually going to contour for once. And I'm going to go in with this Makeup Obsession contour powder in C102 Light. And I'm going in with the Real Techniques multitasking brush. It's just basically a loosely packed oval brush, pretty much. So pick up and tap off. Now, when I do my bronzer, that's normally where you would contour, so the number 3 on your face, or the letter E, whichever side of your face you're doing. So I'm going to apply this where I would normally put my blusher, which is sort of from top of ear aiming at corner of mouth, because what we're doing is we're going just under the cheekbone to give an illusion of a shadow. See? Can you just see the slight... I mean, I'm lucky, I've got quite high cheekbones anyway, but I've been feeling a bit puffy the last few days. Women will know what I'm talking about. You have a few days every month when you feel like you're a camel carting water around. And then I'm going to add just a little bit on that top corner of my hairline there. And then just along my jaw to help minimise the extra chinage. And you know that's normally what I do with my bronzer, because I don't normally contour. But when I'm contouring and bronzing, I'm now going in with my Winky Lux coffee smelling bronzer in shade Latte. I love this. It doesn't smell like a latte. It smells like freshly roasted and ground coffee beans. Oh, it's amazing. And that's the colour of it. Same brush. So again, swirl in, tap off, and this time, instead of going from the top of the ear, I'm just going to go from level with the top of my eyebrow and aim for the same point there, okay? So I'm kind of creating a triangle now, because the bronzer, when you contour as well as bronze, the bronzer is meant to be where the sun would hit you and create a natural tan. But I don't tan, I go from white to lobster and back again, and a tan is basically your skin telling you it's damaged. And then I'll just sweep it up around the corner rather than just in that corner there. I'll sweep it across the top and around the side there. You can actually add a little bit down the middle of your nose like that, because obviously that's where the sun would hit you, and you can add a little bit on your chin if you want. And you can see that that's warmed my face up nicely. Right, now I am going to go into my blush, and at the moment I am proper loving this L'Oreal Life's a Peach blush, which genuinely smells like a ripe nectarine. Like it smells of juice. That sounds so wrong now, I've said it out loud, but it's out in the world now. So this is the Soeco tapered blending brush. So you can see this one's more round, whereas that one was more oval because I wanted to create more of a line. This time I'm wanting to diffuse it across my cheeks. So again, swirl, tap off, and then just gently swirl it across my cheek. And I tend to add a little bit just above my brow bone, because for my face shape I find that works. I've got a sort of it's kind of heart shaped really with my widow's peak here, and I just find that adding a tiny bit of blush just above my eyebrow just gives my face that little bit of extra symmetry that it needs. Right, I'm now going to grab my spoolie, put it in camera, and that might help. And I'm still going with my little mini goof-proof brow pencil sample thingy that I had. Right, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit closer because now I'm going to be focusing on... No, let me show you what I'm going to be using first before I zoom in, otherwise you're going to be zooming in and zooming out and you're going to get dizzy. So, this is the palette I'm using today. This is the I Heart Makeup Chocolate Rose Gold palette. As always, a thingy with the names on, one of these sponge tipped applicator things, a good size mirror that I'm not going to blind you with, and that's the palette. Very similar in tones to the Huda Rose Gold. So have a look at my Hell Yeah Won't I episodes 5 and 6 and you'll see why you don't want to be buying the Huda Rose Gold, and that this would be a better investment. Right, let's zoom you in now so we can concentrate on the eyes a bit. Now, thank you for focus. Just going to brush through my brows just so that if there is any powder in them or clumps of foundation, or they've gone a bit wafty where I've slept on them at night, they're just, you know, sort of put where I want them to be. And now I'm going to go in. See, I'm still going with this. It still keeps. Quite impressed with that. So I'm going to start at the bottom of my brow because this is quite a dark. This is shade 5, which is, I think, the second to darkest that they do. But I do have quite. There's some days that I prefer a darker brow. You know, I normally go for a reddy brown because I've got natural chestnut coloured hair. But sometimes I just want a darker brow, and if I'm doing a stronger eye look like I am today, I like to have a more well-defined brow, shall we say. But you can see I'm not doing the Insta brows. I've made that mistake in the past. It doesn't look good on me. I'm not that great at doing them, to be honest. With pomade I end up looking like I've had a 4-year-old attack my face with a Sharpie. I get on much better with pencils. How's your day been today? Good, I hope. And if you're at the start of your day, I hope it's going to be a good one for you. Right, so once I'm happy with the amount of shading that I've added, I'm just going to brush through again with my spoolie just to make sure they're the shape that I want. Any loose hairs that have been disrupted when you run the pencil through it have come out. Then I'm going in with my, this was clear brow gel. The reason it's now looking a bit unky is because obviously when I've been using it to set my brows, it's picking up some of the brow powder. But I promise you, started off life completely clear. And I'm just going to gently use this because I'm pretty much out now of my ready set brow and I'm not paying 20 quid for a brow setting gel, thank you very much. Of course, if Benefit would like to send me one to review for them, I'd be more than happy. But unfortunately, I think I'm a long way from appearing on PR lists. But it doesn't bother me. I've always bought all my makeup over the years, so I shall continue to do so. Right, so that's just to set my brows in place. So let's go in with this rose gold palette. I'm going to start off with shade Independent, which is pretty much my skin tone, on a fluffy brush. I'm just going to run that all over my lid. Now, although I've already set my lids with the Coty's powder, the Airspun, I do find that powders from the same palette do blend better on themselves. So if there is a colour in the palette that you're using, if there's a matte in the palette that you're using that matches your skin tone, or is, you know, maybe a half a shade or a shade lighter, then just whack that all over. Right, I'm now going to go into shade called Not Yours with, again, this fluffy brush. I know it looks like it's actually been stained from a pigment that I used. It's been cleaned about 4 times. It does get lighter each time I clean it, so it will eventually go back white, I hope. I've got my colour switch here for, as you can see, tapping excess colour off of the brush and also for changing colours. Now, just before I start, if you have hooded eyes, or how to tell you have hooded eyes. Now, when I look straight ahead, you can see all of my mobile lid. By that I mean the bit of your eye that moves when you close your eye and open your eye. If you don't see all of that, you've either got a full or a half hooded lid. Doesn't mean you can't follow this tutorial, doesn't mean you can't follow any tutorial. All you need to do, with your eyes open, get a smaller brush and just sketch out where you need your crease to fall. It's literally just a case of moving your crease up a bit. You might want to use a slightly smaller brush than this to start with, because obviously that will reduce the amount of space between your crease and your brow. Right, as always, I start off by doing a windscreen wiper, following the shape of my eyeball. And then, without adding any extra powder to the brush, I'm just twirling one way, then raising the brush up slightly and twirling it back the other way. Now, you can see my eyelid moves. That's because A, I'm getting old, and B, I've lost a lot of weight over the last few years. You know, you could be 20 with eyelids that move like this if you've lost a lot of weight, or genetically that your, you know, the skin on your eyelids is looser. There are a lot of reasons why that can be. So I've just found that this backwards and forwards twirling motion, and then once you're happy with it, finishing up with little short windscreen wipers is the best way to make sure you've got all of the lid covered, and if the skin has folded over, that you don't get a patch of eyelid without any shadow on it. I don't speed my tutorials up, I take you through it step by step so you can follow along with me without having to keep pausing and resetting. That's also why I have you zoomed in this far. I know a lot of tutorials don't zoom in this far, but I want you, I mean, especially if you're, you know, watching me on your phone. Sometimes I have a fibro moment when my hand flicks like that, and I end up with a bit of colour where I don't want it, but I'll deal with that later. Yeah, so you know, basically you can follow me step by step. It's why I have it this zoomed in, because there's nothing worse than when you're watching a tutorial, especially if you're watching it on your phone, which I know a lot of us do. I do. I watch YouTube on my phone more than I do on my computer. And it's so frustrating when you're watching a tutorial and you can't physically see what they're doing. That's why I zoom you right in. I know some people don't like that because you can't see the expressions that I'm pulling as much. But for me, this is preferable because then at least you can see what's going on. Now, I normally take my crease colour up to about sort of 4 or 5 mils below the thickest part of my brow. You take yours up as high as you feel comfortable. I'm just going to clean that brush off now, and I'm going to get I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use a different one. Now I'm going to go into a slightly smaller, more tapered brush, and I'm going to pick up the colour Side Chick. And again, tap off, and I'm just going to initially just stamp that in the corner of my eye here. Very, very gently. You can see I'm holding the brush right at the far end so that I'm not putting too much pressure on my eyelid at all. I'm just going to gently smoke that corner just by really lightly running the brush over where I've stamped that colour down. I want it to cover about a third of my lid, or come to roughly the edge of the coloured part of my eye. Then I'm going to pick up a wee bit more of Cider Chick, and I'm going to run that along the crease there, and repeat the blending like I did before, but I'm not going to take it up as high this time. I'll take it sort of halfway up the pink that we've already laid down. And then really gently buff backwards and forwards, especially over the line where the red meets the pink, so that you get a really nice soft gradient of colour. You can see, I hope, the difference there between the two. And now I'm going to repeat that on the other eye. So I've picked colour up, I've tapped off, and I'm just stamping the colour down in the area that I want it, and then very gently just buffing that. And if I decide that buffing it has taken out too much of the colour, then I pick up a little bit more and I stamp a little bit more down, and then I buff again. Remember, there's no mistakes when it comes to makeup. There's just, as Bob Ross would say, happy little accidents. Makeup is just, it's not the end of the world. If you don't like the look that you've produced, you can always take it off and start again. It's not a tattoo, it's not permanent. So again, run that through the crease. You can see this lid moves a lot more, so you can see what I mean about where the lid folds and you get patches that don't have colour on. That's what this twirling does. It stops that. It blends that edge out, and it gives us a completely seamless look so that it's totally covered across that lid. Oh, it's getting really hot in my kitchen. I'm really sorry. I'm going to flick the fan on. I'm going to have it blowing behind me, so I'm hoping it's not going to whip my words away too much, but it's getting so hot in my kitchen. If I don't do this, I'm going to end up with absolutely no makeup on at all, which would kind of defeat the object. Right, where was I? I was blending, wasn't I? The trick with blending is you blend and you blend and you blend and you blend and you blend. And then you blend a bit more. And then when you feel like your hand's going to drop off, you blend for just another minute, then you can stop. No, I mean, the only time you can blend too much is if you've got shadows that go muddy when you blend them, so that you lose definition. and you don't get that with this. This is a really good palette. So there we can see those two. I think I might have taken it a little bit higher on this side than this one, which is not a problem. We just blend the outside edge of this one up a little bit more. As I said, if we completely cover the pink, well, it doesn't really matter. It'll add to the depth of colour. It's nice if we can still see the pink at the top, but if not, I was going for a cranberry and gold look as requested by Sophie, the girl that does my nails for me, one of my best mates. Right. Now, I always do all of the matte areas on my eyes before I go in with any shimmers. And I normally do the under eye here before I finish the top lid off as well. So I'm going to go in with a thin liner brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Touch Me, which is a greeny gold metallic on the top row. My eye is starting to run because of this hay fever. Perfect timing. Right, so I'm going to stick this right up underneath those bottom lashes and just really gently wiggle it along, about 2/3 of the way along the bottom lid, just to give a little bit of colour there. Okay, and pick up a little bit more and repeat on this side. I always flinch when I'm doing this eye because where I'm blind in this eye I can't actually see the brush, so I'm relying on muscle memory and my viewfinder to make sure I don't poke myself in the blooming eye, which I have done on camera before, and many times off camera. Difference being, if I'm off camera I can swear like a navvy. If I'm on camera I have to remember to behave myself. Right, I'm now going to pick up a packer style brush that looks like this, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of the shade Gold Digger, which is like an old gold. And I've only literally put it on the tips of the bristles there. I'm just gently going to buff that along the green that we just laid down. Oh, my white balance on my viewfinder has just gone really weird, sorry. It's because the light outside has changed and I have a combination of natural light and an LED lamp here, so I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. Got a blotch of coaty powder just there. There we go. And pick up a little bit more of Gold Digger and do the same thing this side. Literally all we're doing is just softening the green that we've already put down. We're just really gently buffing backwards and forwards. Now I could do a cut crease here, but it's hot and it will make this video way longer, and you can get this look without having to do a cut crease. So I'm going to go into the shade Hard Work, which is the beautiful brilliant gold on the top row, if my camera would do its job and focus. There we go. And I'm just going to give that a bit of a squirt with, I'm using the Makeup Obsession Pigment Boost Fix. You can use any setting spray. You can use Fix Plus, which is not a setting spray, doesn't extend the life of your makeup, or you can just use, you know, fresh water spray, that's fine too. And I'm going to pop this on the 2/3 of the lid that we hadn't put any colour on yet. Now I prefer to add the pigment to my brush and then wet the brush, rather than wet the brush and go into the pigment. Because if you wet the brush and go into the pigment, you can end up with the issue of getting like a hard pan so it kind of seals it over and then makes it more difficult to pick colour up next time. You can see that just bounces beautifully off against the cranberry. Right, now I'm going to clean all the colour off of that brush and then whack it on my hand like this until it's totally dry before I go back into that same shade to do the other eye. So back into hard work, tap off any excess, spray it like so, wipe any spray off of the actual metal ferrule, and then as we did on the other eye, just add it to the 2/3 of the lid that doesn't already have any colour on it. Okay. Right, I'm going to clean that brush off, and then using this brush that we put the side chick on, the cranberry colour, there's no pigment on this at all. I'm literally just gently buffing where the gold meets the cranberry, because this isn't a cut crease, so we can actually blend the edges a little bit. But you can see it gives you a cut crease effect when you wet the brush. Right, I am now going to go off camera and put some liner and mascara on, and I will be right back. Hey! I used the Renaissance Flick liner and my waterproof Tarte's Lights Camera Splashes mascara, because where my eyes are running and where it is quite a hot day, if I don't use a waterproof mascara I am going to look like Alice Cooper from the Schools Out video. Right, time for highlighter, and because I used the Rose Gold palette, I thought I would go in with the new Rose Gold Glow Speak Words and highlighters. You can see they have a pink one and a gold one, so let's zoom you in. Yep. Ignore that, I managed to wallop myself on the nose with my mascara wand. I'll deal with that. Once it's dry I'll just scratch it off with my nail. Right, it's going in with a little brush like this. I think I'm going to go into the pink. Just pop that on the inner corner. Oh, look at how bright that is, isn't that lovely? Pop that on the inner corner there. That makes it look like I've had lots of coffee this morning. I do tend to just carry it along to meet the colour that I'd swept underneath my eye as well. And now I'm going to pick up a little bit of that same colour and just run it up under the tail of my brow. This helps give the illusion of your brows being higher, which apparently is a symbol of youthfulness. Apparently our brows droop along with everything else, girlies and boys. Right, let's zoom you out. You got dizzy yet? I'm actually going to go in with a fan brush today. This is one from Avon, and it is so super soft. It's ridiculous. It's as soft as a bunny's bum. Right, so I'm going to go into that pink and just pick some up on the brush, and I'm going to do top lip first, I think. Cupid's bow, and then put what's left on my chin. Pick some up on the tips of the bristles to whack down the middle of my nose, especially on the end bit there. And then just a little bit just in the middle of my forehead there. Don't want too much, just enough. And then cheekbones time. And you can see by putting it on with a fan brush, you can get a slightly more subtle effect, but you can still build that subtle effect up and get it blinding, just how I like it. So a fan brush does give you more control, I suppose, into how bright your highlight will be. But don't use them with the Jeffree Star ones, because his are milled so finely that if you use a fan brush or a loosely packed brush with them, they will get hard pan, and then this sort of brush won't be able to pick any colour up from them. I always use a more dense brush if I'm using a Skin Frost by Jeffree. But this is beautiful. In fact, I think I'm now going to pick up a little bit of the gold and just put it just on the highest point of my cheek, just there. Because let's face it, we all know how much I like to glow. Right, voila. I am now going to cover my face in setting spray. With fan brushes, they do tend to come with this plastic cover. Now I always keep that because it does help keep the shape of the fan in the brush. Now for setting spray today, I'm going to go in with this one from Barry M, which is an illuminating finish. It has rose gold mica in it. So as we've gone rose gold everywhere else, I thought it would be appropriate. So let's liberally douse our face. Oh, if I don't turn that fan off, the setting spray is not going to actually hit my face. Now most people would stop there. I'm not most people. And I'm going to go over the top of it with this Rimmel hashtag Instafix and Go, because this is one of the best drugstore or high street setting sprays you can get in terms of actually giving you longer with your makeup, you know, extending the wear time of it. And also because I'm a bit extra, and if I've spent this time putting my makeup on, I want it to, say it with me long-term viewers, stay put. Right, I'm going to pop off camera, do something with my hair, stick a bit of lippy on. I'll be straight back. And I'm back. The lipstick that I've used today is Birkin Suede, which is one of the Jeffree Star lip ammunitions, and is a proper, it's kind of like highlighter lips on, foundation lips on me, but because I've gone for such a beautifully dramatic cranberry and gold eye, I wanted a more nude lip. So, do I like this palette? Hell yeah! Do I think it's worth your money? Oh, hell yeah! Abso-blooming-lutely. Do I think it's worthwhile getting the matching highlighter? Yeah, I do actually. It gives you, you know, you have the option of either a slightly more subtle, or you can go absolutely blinding with it. It doesn't have any glitter particles in it at all, and it glows sufficiently enough for me. So there we go. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, do please hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. If you subscribe, make sure you click that bell. If you've clicked that bell, double check it's still clicked, because YouTube are being gits at the moment. And all that remains for me to say now is stay fabulous. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.